Okay, so today's training is about winning, right? And when smalls aren't winning, sometimes we tend to look outward instead of inward. We look at, maybe the agencies aren't doing enough set-asides. There's not enough opportunities for us. A lot of opportunities are being bundled together into these bigger opportunities that we can't go after, and only large businesses can do it. The ANCs are coming in, taking our work, like all these different reasons. And not that any of them are not valid. They're just not helpful to look outward. When we want success, it's so much better to look inward. When we look inward, we're taking responsibility for the success that we want, right? So if we're not winning, we're not being successful. And so if you want to be successful, take responsibility, not blame, right? Don't look around and blame anybody else, and certainly don't blame yourself, but take responsibility for the success and go, well, what can I do differently that will help me drive towards that success? That's obviously what today's training is about. But when you take responsibility, you give yourself control. I love this line when I learned it a long time ago and started using it in these trainings years ago. And this idea of taking responsibility gives you control. It gives you control over your own future, right? If you're in a car and you're driving with somebody else all the time and you don't like how they're driving, well, you can just offer to drive. You can take responsibility for driving, and then maybe you're not going to be tailgating like your partner does or something. When you take responsibility, you have control, and you have that same thing in sales and the success of your business. Taking responsibility just means, let me look inward for the solution. And when we look inward, we want to make sure we're not overcomplicating it. Again, going back to this thing, sometimes we look outward and sometimes we look for the most complicated answer to our why we're not winning. But really, it's just about going back to the basics. And that's what I want to talk to you about today is, thinking about just the simple, straightforward things we small businesses need to be doing in order to succeed and in order to get where we want to go. So today I'm going to be talking about why small business government contractors are not winning and give you some ideas around the reason why GovCons aren't winning. And if I just give you a spoiler alert, right? The spoiler alert, the number one reason why small business government contractors aren't winning, and in my opinion, right, is that we're not doing the right things the right way and enough of the right things. Not doing the right things the right way and enough of the right things. If we were, we'd be successful. If we're not successful and we look inward, then we can probably look at this and go, I don't know what it is, but I'm either not doing the right things or but I am doing the right things, but I'm not doing it the right way, or, which I'll double down on today, we're not doing enough of the right things. And so that's how I'm going to break today's training up. We're going to talk about winning begins with having those right skills, the right things, and then the right skills need to be done the right way. So we'll talk about the right way. And then I'll wrap up with this idea of doing enough of the right things by 10xing the amount of activity. Whatever you're doing today, you can 10x that amount. Sometimes the way you 10x is just by, sweat equity. We work harder, right? Roll up our sleeves even higher or something. And other times we do process improvement. We look at our day and we go, oh, if I shift it around like this, I could do 10x the work without 10x the pressure on me or 10x the time. There's ways to be efficient. And so I'm not going to give you all those tips today, but I'm going to get you started thinking about that. If you don't know who I am, my name is 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗔𝗬. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market, and I provide you an opportunity to build your own community, to network with the other people who are in the chat. I can't see the chat, but in the chat, you want to be saying hello to other people. Hey, good to see you, right? You're engaging in a community. Don't just sell, right? When I tell you to put your core competency in, and I say put in 2 or 3 words that describe your core competency, the reason I say that is I just want somebody else to go, oh, you do SharePoint migrations as well. So do I. Let's talk, right? But if you put too much, then you're not really trying to help us understand who you are. So manage that, but also seek to understand the other people in the community, because I'm giving you that ability to network every single day. It is awesome. You don't have to go anywhere else to find all sorts of people who aren't me, right? They're you and the other person meet to take it offline, have meetings, see where you guys can work together. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market as a small business owner. And I don't know why I said that, right? But since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When you follow the process A to Z, you're going to have repeatable, predictable results. And this is what I want for you. It's why I do these trainings. In particular, it's why I'm talking about today's training, because repeatable, predictable results basically has a foundation of skill sets. And so that's what we're going to dive into today. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to our Government Contracting Success newsletter. We got over 17,000 people in here, subscribers, and that too is your community, but it's where we primarily share a lot of good information. I've recently shared out, I think yesterday, how to do business within the IC community, or the day before, how to do business within the IC community by registering in a supplier portal that 17 different agencies like CIA, FBI, et cetera, use. And so that was there. And then yesterday, the article we shared was related to AI and how to think about AI in the federal market and how are your customers thinking about it. And so that was a great article. So make sure you subscribe to that newsletter. And then when I do my job every Sunday, I also do a little recap plus tell you what training is coming up the next week. The last thing is, speaking of training, thank you for registering. We have over 100 people registered for today's training. Pretty much we have over 100 people registering every day for these trainings, which is awesome. I really appreciate that. Simple thank you to us to just let us know you're coming so we can save a seat for you. But then the other thing is LinkedIn pushes the word out to more people. So if there are 100 people watching this training and you let 2 people know that, hey, do you know about this training? Are you coming in on a regular basis live and building relationships? You can let them know, and you bring 2 people in, and if all 200 people bring 2 people more in, now we've just grown our network by 200 people in one day. And so you do that just by registering for the training. Even if you don't proactively do that, LinkedIn is doing it for you. I was talking to hopefully a customer this morning about these trainings, and they're like, they came yesterday and they said, oh, should we come yesterday's training? Because the title had 8A in it. And they're like, oh no, let's absolutely come, because we always get some gem out of the training, but also we can network and we can meet people. And she was telling me about how she has 2 different meetings that are going on. I think they're both this week. One is today, that are from people that have been in this training. And they said, I saw you in the training, let's connect. So don't forget, I'm going to give you, my wisdom in the training, but also you have the networking effect that is in the chat. So introduce yourself, say hi to others. Okay, so let's dive into the first of the 3 slides I really want to go down with, beginning about winning begins with having the right skills. And this is an interesting thing because there's so many skills I want to talk to you about, and we could go out there, but I don't want to sit there and crowd it. So I tried to pick just 3 skills that drive into this activity challenge that we have. And so the first one is researching your customers. And what we need to do is to get really good at being able to find information about our customers or about our potential teaming partners. Where are they winning? What have they won before? What contract vehicles are they on? When I think about researching a customer, right, I'm talking about what org chart do they have? What does their budget look like? How can I research their humongous budget to really just find the stuff that matters to my company and relates to my opportunities? I mentioned a minute ago that we had dropped an article or a post out this morning sharing how to do business with the National Science Foundation. And in that slide deck are an organization chart where I can see not only the leaders, but because I can see that, I can see how the Science Foundation is organized and which parts might align to what I think we sell, right? So their office is called this, I sell this, those look aligned. But when you research your customer, you're really taking a moment to try to care about them. I use this line, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. And when I talk about that, what I mean is that by caring is, if you research a customer, a federal agency customer, then you're going to be talking to them in meetings about their challenges that you have learned about their goals and objectives for the next year and the next 4 years. And some of these agencies have like 10-year out-year plans where you can track on that. When you can research a customer well, you're going to be able to understand where they're going, what they do, what their mission is, right? Which aligns back to what do they sell. So researching your customer is a really important part of showing your customer that you care. When you show them that you've done your homework, you've shifted control a little bit in your favor in the meetings that you go into, in a way that now they're not trying to sit there and just ask you these useless questions, but they're having a dialogue with you. They're perhaps even looking at you like you're a trusted advisor. And that comes from being able to research your customers. So learn that skill. The second skill I want to talk to you about is, making sure you have the right skills to win, is starting and building relationships. This is a long-term, lifelong skill. I've been doing this for a long time. Literally, I've been doing it probably since I was 10 years old. So that was the first job I ever had, where I had a paper route and I had to build relationships with the neighbors to get them to buy the paper or to get them to pay for the paper. Speaking of people who don't pay us on time, right? I mean, not us, but when government agencies don't pay us, right? But newspapers, when you're delivering them. But I had to build relationships. And so I've been building relationships a long time. And I've been in sales for a long, long time. So I've been doing this, and that's why I'm good at starting and building relationships. But starting and building relationships is not charisma. There's no fancy charisma I have. I have developed a skill over time that enables me to start and build relationships where I want to go. And when you do that, when you think about starting a relationship, right? And I think I'm going to talk about it in a minute, so I don't want to talk about it too far here. But the idea of when you're able to start and build a relationship, you're able to get in the door. So think about at a federal agency, you want to hear about opportunities. Well, if you have the right skill, this ability to start and build a new relationship in the National Science Foundation or in the Army or Department of Education or whatever, if you say, I want to get in there, and then you're good at starting and building a relationship, then you're able to get in and learn about them even more than your research helped you figure out. But you're also able to hear about opportunities because you have these relationships. They'll share with you information that is public, but just not publicly available, if that makes sense. So sometimes the government will do an event over here. It'll be an event that's open to the public, but they don't take that deck or the replay video and put it out so we all can see it. So it's kind of close hold, if you will. But when you get in and build a relationship, then you're able to get access to that information. You're able to hear them say, oh, you should watch for this RFI that's going to drop. So starting and building a relationship is one of the most important skills that you can have. The only reason I put researching your customer and or your teaming partner up above is because you can't really build a great relationship. And I don't mean, by the way, starting and building a relationship is that first meeting, because those are just first meetings, but building a relationship is a months-long process to get started, right? And so researching those people enables you to come into those relationships with an open mind of, I want to sit there and build this relationship. I don't want to just get something out of the relationship. So the third skill I want you to really focus on, and by the way, don't practice all these skills at once. Maybe once a week or every week, choose one of these three skills you're going to practice and refine. So the third skill is qualifying opportunities. A lot of us get stuck, I think, and our success is negatively impacted by the fact that we're good at finding opportunities, 1,000 opportunities that are in all these tools that want to dump them all to us, including SAM, which is the top tool that just has so much information in there. But you need to be able to qualify those opportunities. When you're able to qualify them, your whole company can focus its energy around winning a few slam dunk opportunities. And I'll describe how to do that in a minute. But qualifying an opportunity is a very vital skill to have, because imagine if you go to a gold mine and you want to become rich, which is basically why we have businesses, right? Is to grow the revenue. You want to get rich in that gold mine, meaning you want to go in there and find the gold. Well, a gold mine has dirt and it has gold, and you need to remove the dirt in order to get to the gold. That's cool, unless you don't know what the dirt and the gold look like. If you're not sure which is which, then when you go into a gold mine, it's like having a ton of opportunities in your pipeline that you haven't learned how to qualify, and you don't know the difference between unqualified opportunities, dirt, and qualified opportunities, gold. And if you develop this one skill, you will make sure your pipeline only has qualified opportunities in it, which then massively increases your P-win, even if you don't do anything else, but make sure the opportunities that come in are ones you could win. You'll instantly increase your P-win, because there won't be opportunities you're responding to that, your chances of winning are just minimal. So that's a really important skill to have, is qualifying opportunities. You will get better and better and better at this as you look at opportunities. I go in and help a customer. I'm very experienced, but I kind of go back to step zero for 1 second as I'm looking and defining with them those, what is a qualified opportunity? What is a slam dunk opportunity? And so that goes into the next two slides, is talking about the right way. So the first one we're going to talk about is the right way to build relationships. I just want to give you some tips. I've done massive amount of training on how to start and build relationships, really detailed tactical guidance on the how of building relationships. So here, I'm just talking about a couple of tips for you on how the right skill of starting and building a relationship might be done the right way. Who knew talking was a thirsty business? All right, starting and building relationships. Tip one is give without expectation. And this begins right in the chat right now. If you see somebody and they say, oh, we do network engineering, right? Don't figure out how you can get anything. If you can give them an introduction, say, you know what, I know somebody over here was talking about a need for it, or they're going after an opportunity, or they're a bigger company. If you can make that introduction and then get completely out of the picture, you're giving without expectation. You're not giving them an introduction to get an introduction. You're not giving them an introduction to get a piece of the contract going forward. Building relationships is giving without expectation, right? Hopefully a good relationship, the other person is doing the exact same thing, but let's not worry about what they're doing. For us, building a good, strong relationship means giving without expectation to your network and to the people you're trying to build a relationship with. The second bullet I have here is to make sure you set clear criteria on what you want your relationships to look like. So I have done whole trainings on how to set criteria for a strong strategic relationship. So if you're starting and building relationships, really what I'm talking about is building strategic relationships. And so strategic relationships are ones that are mutually beneficial. You both have committed to mutual growth. I'm here to help you grow, and you're saying the same thing to me. You're here to help me grow, and together we're both going to grow our companies, right? And that's an exciting part of a strategic relationship. It is not one-sided, but you need to set clear criteria of what does a strategic relationship mean. For me, as an example, they need to be making a certain amount of money. Let's say 10 million plus. If they're not doing that, then they're not a strategic relationship. They are a very strong relationship, a friendship even. But a strategic relationship is one that grows. Now, you might say, I want to build strong friendship type relationships with other people where it's like we come together and we're going to events together and we're really not able to help each other grow, but we're there to mutually support each other because neither one of us really have enough contracts to help the other. But we can make sure we're sharing information. Hey, did you hear about this? Did you go here? Right? That's a little different than strategic relationships. So just understand your criteria as you're starting and building a relationship. What is that criteria for a measurable success? This third bullet I have here, when you're starting and building a relationship, is you want to make sure you're meeting regularly. If you want to build relationships, you have to meet on a regular basis. With people who are in the industry, that should be a recurring meeting. If it's not a recurring meeting, they are not committed or you are not committed to building a strong relationship, right? It is more a transactional relationship. When I need something or you need something, just ping me. I'm happy to help. And I have a ton of transactional relationships, and I'm okay with people having transactional relationships with me where they reach out and say, hey, can you make this introduction? Sure. But those people are different than the strategic relationships I have with ones where we meet regularly because we want mutual growth. So we're committed to working on that growth. And you can do the same thing with federal buyers, right? With them, you meet regularly, but they might not schedule the recurring meeting, but they might be okay with let's touch base once a month. It's like, all right, we'll get in, but they don't really want to commit to vendors in a recurring meeting. But you're still meeting regularly. That's a good relationship, but you must meet with people in order to develop those relationships. Bullet 5, give. And this is when you're in the relationship, just constantly give. It goes together with the last bullet, which is win-win outcome. This is what Stephen Covey talks about. You don't want a lose-lose relationship or a lose-win or a win-lose. You want a win-win relationship where you and the other person is winning. If either side is not winning, then it's not a good relationship for either one of you. Even the person who's winning, it's not a good relationship. And one of the ways you can make sure that everybody's winning is if everybody's coming in with this give before you're asking. The right things will come to you when you have that whole giver's gain mentality. So that's just some tips on how to start and build relationships. Again, I have at least 20 and probably close to 40 trainings on how to build relationships. Very detailed I go in it. Every video is different. I never do the same training twice. And so I'm always hitting it from different angles, giving you different suggestions on how you can do it. So let's talk about qualifying opportunities. So this is that third skill set I had mentioned. You want to be able to qualify opportunities, every one of you. So if you're a business owner, you need to qualify opportunities. You need to be able to teach your team, how do we qualify opportunities? If you are a business developer, do you know how to truly qualify opportunities? You should be able to qualify that very fast, right? And so the first bullet I have here is set a clear criteria of what a slam dunk opportunity is. A slam dunk opportunity is an opportunity the company can win hands down. We might have competition in there with other people who also, this is a slam dunk opportunity for them. But the idea of a slam dunk opportunity, like my last company was SharePoint. Anything with SharePoint was mine. The minute it began to go outside of SharePoint, it was not mine, right? And so we went after enterprise architecture and won a huge contract, and we slid in like, oh, we'll do it with SharePoint, and that's how we rationalized it. But that was not a slam dunk, even though we won it, and that's a kind of an odd example to use a winning one. But that's outside of our range. That is not a slam dunk. A slam dunk is what you can do in your sleep over and over. And generally, that slam dunk is tied directly to past performance. We have these 3 past performances related to this work. That makes it a slam dunk, right? We have these people on our team that are that skilled at doing this work. And if you don't have it, then determine what you want your slam dunk to be and start driving towards that. The second bullet is you really need to, when you're figuring out how to qualify opportunities and developing that skill, you want to get it in your mind to qualify an opportunity within 24 hours. Really, it should be done in an hour, but sometimes you might have questions that take a little bit more time. But the whole idea is to triage opportunities. So if you go and look at a long-range acquisition forecast that gets released, then you want to be able to look at that and triage it, right? And triaging is something where you're just saying cold, warm, and hot, right? And hot is good, cold is get rid of. So you quickly want to get rid of all the dirt. And then you got warm and hot, and you want to acknowledge as fast as you can, these are warm. And warm, the very definition is that they're not hot, which means they're not a slam dunk. These are the dangerous ones. Cold are easy because anybody who sees a cold opportunity, one that's not for us, goes, that's not for us. I don't even know what that is. But when you see a warm one, it's when we start rationalizing. And I have a rule that says for your sales pipeline, nobody must rationalize or have to rationalize an opportunity. If they do, it's okay if it goes in the pipeline because the rationale might be legitimate, but it is not okay to say that's a slam dunk. It's not a slam dunk. You're asking me to put an exception into the pipeline, which is okay. There's exceptions, but it's not a slam dunk. And so triaging, you want to be able to quickly find the slam dunks and you want to find the colds. When you start doing that, you basically have gotten really good at identifying dirt and gold in your gold mine. Third bullet here, I said find out if it's funded. When you're qualifying opportunities, one of the hardest things I find for people to do, but they must do it, is go find out if an opportunity is funded. So if you see an opportunity in long-range forecast, your first thing before you dig heavily into the PWS and all this stuff is going, is this a real opportunity? Is this funded, or did somebody just throw it on there? If you see an RFI and a source of thought, you can respond, but you want to follow up and pursue that quickly to go, what stage are you in the procurement lifecycle? Is this funded? Is it anticipated to be funded? So understand that, because if there's no funding, there's no contract. And the last one is determine your teaming needs. When you're thinking about qualifying an opportunity, you want to determine your teaming needs. Hey, I got a whole new solution coming out that's going to help small businesses. I don't have time to talk about it. If you want to be on the wait list, go to govconinAbox.com and you can see this screenshot and you can come back later. But I wanted to get the 10X because I end right at 12:30 and I need to get going. So the last thing is, and I said this at the beginning, you need to be doing more activity. If you're not winning or if you're not hitting the goals that you want, it almost always comes down to you're not doing enough activity, right? And before that is, are you doing the right skills the right way? If you are, if you've developed the skills, then it comes down to activity. And we have found in the chamber with all the people we help in our workshop, et cetera, is that that's almost always what it is. You're just not doing enough. And so here's what I'm telling you to do. And again, I recognize how fast this is going to be, but make sure you have a list of 500 leads at your target agency that you're trying to get into. I could literally build that in an hour. I'm very good at this. I've been doing it a long time. You take a couple of weeks, but go watch my training where I talk about how do you find leads. But those leads are going to be government personnel. They're going to be small businesses that are winning in there, and they're large businesses that are winning in there. When you do that, you will find 500 people. When you have 500 leads, now you got a lot of people. Now you're going to be doing enough activity to try to win, to get to the stage you want. Make sure your pipeline has the value that it needs to have. It needs to have, I don't know what your numbers are, right? But make sure that you have enough in your pipeline that will guarantee you're going to hit your sales goals, your revenue goals, right? And that means making sure that pipeline is filled with slam dunk opportunities whose total contract value, TCV, will add up to what you need to sell and win. And I just did training even last week on this. And so I dive into the numbers on other training. Reach out to 25 people a day, write 4 proposals a month. There is no excuse for not writing 4 responses to the government, and 4 proposals is where you want to be. You could do that as a subcontractor. All 4 of them could be with different teaming partners, and you just line up 8 teaming partners. So you're always doing it. There's no excuse for not doing it, right? And you want it to be on slam dunk opportunities. I am not saying write around a bunch of random stuff. Write it to your slam dunk opportunities. And if you don't have enough in your pipeline, build more relationships, and you will find those opportunities. And that goes to the last bullet here. Have 16 strategic relationships that you're meeting with them on a regular basis. If you're not meeting with them on a regular basis, it is not a strategic partnership. Okay, so here's what I want you to do, and I'm just tracking my time because we end right on time. Here's the things I want you to think about as you head off into the day and into your week here. Identify the right skills that you need. And I've given you a heads up on some of them. I've given you a lot of training, but look at where you're not hitting the success that you want and identify the skills you need to be able to achieve that. And then the second thing is develop those skills, develop them every single week. Work as a team in your company. Say, hey, let's work on this one skill this week, like qualifying ops. Let's go find 10 ops each and talk to each other about how we're qualifying it. And then 10x your efforts, right? Really look at what you're doing, improve your efficiencies, and do 10 times as much as you're doing. I don't mean work 10 times harder. Just do 10 times more by working 10 times smarter. Okay, so don't forget that government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. Part of the process is hearing about our new tool when we roll it out. So sign up at the wait list, GovCon in a box.com. And remember, sign up for the newsletter so you can hear about all new training coming out.